Mr. Paton, Jonathan Paton. We've been trying to get him. He was at the forum on Saturday, and he's just done a heck of a job. And he's our guy. He's going to win, Mr. Paton.
Are you guys all fired up? Yeah. You better be, because we are in for a battle coming up. I can guarantee you that. And that battle is already starting as we go down the road towards November. I get asked a lot. People know that maybe that I served in the legislature. They know that I served in the Army. I served in a tour of duty in Iraq. But you always get asked, where did you get your political philosophy from? Why do you believe what you believe? Or what was the moment when you kind of got that vision? Whatever bent you are, if you're conservative or you're liberal, how did you become who you are? For me, it was when I was 18 years old. I grew up in Tucson, Arizona, and all I wanted to do was leave Tucson. That was it. And I got a chance to go as an exchange student to Germany. And that was 1989 and 1990. That was the year that the Berlin Wall fell. And while I was there, I watched the wall collapse. I watched all of the people from East Germany flooding into West Germany in a little village that we lived in. But there was an opportunity that I had. The family that I lived with, they were conservative. And the man was a doctor. And by the way, he complained incessantly about the individual mandate that they have in Germany. And they had the opportunity to visit East Germany, to be there for the very first election that they had since the World War, or since before the World War II, since the end of the Weimar Republic. So it was the very first opportunity for us. We went there, and it was a conservative party rally that they had, an election night party that they were putting together. And we met this family, and their son, who was in the city of Leipzig, their son, in his room, little apartment, he had basically an entire wall, was like a shrine to the United States. Had pictures all over the place on the wall about the U.S. But there were two pictures in particular that were important to him that he said, in his mind, were the embodiment of what America is all about, the greatness of the United States. And one of those pictures was of Ronald Reagan in front of the Brandenburg Gate. And you remember what he said, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. And I asked him why it was so important. Why was that moment? And he said, because that was the moment when America showed moral leadership in the world, said something to the rest of the world, and the world answered, and the wall came down. That was a great moment in not only world history, but in American history, because that moment almost didn't happen. All of Reagan's speechwriters told him, don't do it. The State Department said, don't do it. And Reagan said, this is what I believe, and he said it, and it happened, and we are the inheritors of the world that moment took place. What a contrast to today. We have a president that apologizes against the world. So I asked this young man, this is that moment for you? And he said, yes, and that picture represents for me the greatness that America has to offer the world. The other picture was of Michael Jackson, so. But that is what our leaders should be doing. They should be speaking truth to power. They should be speaking about the values and the rights and projecting those values around the world, that we are the greatest nation. Not because of our military power. I'm a soldier. I believe in the military might of this country. We have the greatest army in the world. We need to make sure we keep that. But it's not military power that makes us great. It is not our economic power that makes us great. It is the liberties enshrined in the Constitution of the United States. That is what makes us great in this country. As I said, I served a captain. I enlisted in the Army in 1999. I was a private. Worked my way up to sergeant. Got my commission in 2003. Served in Iraq in 2006. I actually left the Arizona State Legislature to do a tour of duty in Iraq because I believe there is a famous statue at Fort Benning, Georgia, and at the bottom of it says, lead the way. I believe that leaders have a responsibility to lead. If you say you believe in something, you need to actually follow through with that as a leader. And I served with a lot of soldiers, airmen and Marines, and sailors as well, some of whom never did. And I look at their service, and I look at why they sacrificed so much. What was the reason that got them to serve in the first place, and what kind of oath did they take? They didn't take an oath to a president or a king. They took an oath to the Constitution of the United States. And when you look at what happened when Ann Kirkpatrick, my opponent in this election, did in the period of time that she served in office representing Arizona and parts of Pinal County, it is amazing. You look at February 2009, the stimulus bill. March 2009, you've got the car check. Mr. Horns talked about it. June 2009, cap and trade. June 2009, cash for clunkers. March 2010, Obamacare. The biggest abomination that we've had in the last 50 years. March 2010, Rob Prince is killed on our southern border. June 2010, we have Dodd-Frank. September 2010, we have the reauthorization and the extension of the bailout. Ladies and gentlemen, that is not simply a list of bills. That is not a record. That is a sustained assault on the Constitution of the United States by Nancy Pelosi, by Ann Kirkpatrick, and that character in the White House they call Barack Obama. Now my question to you is, what are we going to do about it? I support that oath just like those other soldiers did. I believe that it is incumbent upon us that we do something about it. That's why I ran. To honor their service and to protect this country, for over 200 years, our forefathers gave their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor. It is incumbent upon us to do no less. So we've got a tough road to hoe. This is the district that has been cobbled together essentially by the, quote, independent redistricting commission of the great state of Arizona. We know what they've done. Let's be honest about it. They created a district for one reason only, and that was to protect what was Gabrielle Giffords' old seat. They chopped off the Republicans that lived in Marana, Oro Valley, and Saddlebrook, in what was then District 8, and they added those folks into the sprawling district that goes all the way up to the And they thought, well, they'll get lost in all that morass, is what they said. But the fact of the matter is, this district right now is a winnable district. There is a 9% spread between Republicans and Democrats in Tennessee. That seems like a big lead. But the fact of the matter is, this district voted for Republicans, John McCain and George Bush, 51% in the last two presidential elections, the way it's been configured right now. There are an awful lot of independents and Democrats who don't vote like Democrats. They vote like Republicans. We can win this district. But it's going to take an awful lot of work. And I'm sorry to tell you this, it's going to take most of the work from you, the people in this room. Not the people around the stage, you. And here's why. 45% of the entire district of votes in the general election are going to come from just two counties, Pima and Pinal County. 51% of this district is now south of the globe, population-wise. That means basically south of Phoenix, that's where the bulk of the population in this district is, and that's going to lead the way into our victory in November. Now, I got news for you. I can't do that on my own. The Attorney General said to you earlier that you're the ones that make these things happen. I can't do that. But you have a choice. If we get organized, if we get Maricopa organized, you have approximately, the turnout in Maricopa is about, unfortunately, is about the same as it is in South. It's close to it, voter-wise. The population is much greater than that. And if we get organized in Maricopa, if we can turn out the vote, that can make the difference between winning and losing, and in a very real way, and you know this is true, between liberty and tyranny. I'm not willing to let that happen. We have a campaign put together. Robert is helping me out. We've got another group of campaign supporters. We've been doing walks all over the place. I need your help. We're going to win the presidency in Arizona. I mean, the battleground, we just heard a list of states in there talked about that are really swing states. We're going to win the state for Romney. But these seats, and the most important seat really is it's not, there's 9 seats in the state of Arizona. We used to have 8. There are now 9. 6 of those, let's be honest, they are solidly Republican or they're solidly Democratic. 3 of them are toss-ups. One of those is in southern Arizona. You saw what happened in that special election. The Democrats gerrymandered it to be even more Democratic. It's a very difficult seat to win. It's not insurmountable, but it's difficult. We have District 9, which is up in the Tempe area, but none of them have the competitiveness that CD1 has. The national public list, the top 25 swing districts in the country, and CD1 was on that list. You had, I guess, Ronald Hollow representing you. I'm sorry. Sorry for that.
He represents elected. He represents.
And Ann Kirkpatrick won't either. Ann Kirkpatrick's history is very simple.
Oh, yeah.
She raises money, and she never leaves Flagstaff, and she never speaks.
She hasn't attended a debate either.
I've been to 15 debates since January.
No.
6 of them here in Pinal County. She hasn't been to one debate. And the reason why is she's afraid that what's going to happen here or anywhere else in the district is what happened in Holbrook. That she's going to have to run out on her district. So I'm going to give you this promise and open up the questions. For those of you who know me, my time in the legislature, I will stop at nothing to stick up and fight for you. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Jonathan Paton. I'm running for Congress, and if you give me the chance, I want to help you take this country back. Thank you very much. So I asked you guys to ask some tough questions, so let's get started. What questions do you have? Raise about my Harold.
How do you feel about auditing the Fed?
I just sent out a press release on that either yesterday or the day before. I'm not sure what the day was. That we need to find exactly what they have been doing all this time and our financial situation, the currency. All of these different factors that the Fed operates and how they tinker with the markets. And I think a lot of Americans are afraid that our entire financial system is basically based on a house of cards.
I know.
We just sent out a press release in support. So, that's what. I don't know if we have a Democrat tracker. I have a Democrat tracker who follows me everywhere, by the way. And with this, I was saying this to these folks here earlier. We have a Democratic tracker. He normally follows me. He was at the debate on Saturday. His name is Will. We've kind of adopted him as a mascot. And one of our volunteers sort of likes him, I guess. And I said, well, you stick with him. You're gonna end up being a sugar. But he went, but she didn't. Isn't that interesting? Our tracker, and not ours, but the Republicans have a tracker, and he has nothing to go to. He's like the Maytag repairman of Republican trackers. Why? Because she never has any public appearances or events. So, other questions, comments, complaints?
I just want to say I really appreciate you because you've been in Maricopa quite a bit, all the candidate walks, you're always at every single forum, you're a very hard worker, you meet with everybody, you're very approachable. I had a few people call you right there with them, and I just appreciate it. I really do just want to say thank you.
Thank you. I love people.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
When a judge, a 3-panel judge or a single judge or 11 judges, when they make a ruling that is blatantly unconstitutional, why is it that they are never impeached?
I think that those kinds of things, if we're going to take our country back, we need to start forcing that issue. We need to start forcing that we have all these people that are not living up to their oath, and we're allowing them to do that. And not just
like the judge that says he can't say the Pledge of Allegiance. He needs to be impeached. Or she.
Here's something I want to tell you. If you're upset by the rulings that you're seeing, if you're upset by what you see the federal government do, there is a ballot measure that's going to be on the ballot. It's not been signed a number yet. And it is a group of citizens came together, gathered signatures, got this item on the ballot. And what it says is that if by a vote of the people, by a vote of the legislature and the governor, that it is determined that an action by the federal government is unconstitutional, you vote basically not to follow it. If that ballot measure passes, that means it can go on your ballot. And here's what happens. Here's the reason why it's important. The Attorney General just talked about Prop 113. They are challenging our state over the legality of Prop 113. That means any Attorney General is obligated to defend the state. Well, what this would mean, they would have to challenge the fact that we're not enforcing their laws in our own state. I don't know, that sounds kind of like 1070 is crazy. That's a whole which I voted for, by the way. If you want to know what my record was in the legislature, that was only this would force them to have to sue the state of Arizona. Our Attorney General would have to defend us, whether it's Republican or Democrat, over the constitutionality of their laws. You get enough states to do that, we have a chance of starting to scale back some of the federal encroachment that we have and also reassert our rights under the 10th Amendment. The other thing is the 9th Amendment. The 9th Amendment says, and people don't pay much attention to it, but it says the federal government is the U.S. Constitution is not the final arbiter of saying what the limits of your rights are. Those limits can be expanded by the individual states. We have the Healthcare Freedom Act, which was passed in Arizona, that says that you can determine what health care you can get. And secondly, this card check, which protects the secret ballot in Arizona. That is why this case is so important about the National Labor Relations Board. If we win those cases, it reaffirms not only the 10th Amendment, but the 9th Amendment of our Constitution. And that's what I want to do when I'm in Congress. I want to challenge them on each one of these rulings and also make sure that we don't put bad law out there that's blatantly unconstitutional. So, other questions, comments?
Will this proposal be on the ballot this year?
It'll be on the ballot this November.
Are other states, how many other states are?
We're the first. We're the first. Once again, Arizona is leading the way on legal challenges in the country. And that's why I put in a ballot argument. And people will say, oh, this is horrible. You're getting challenged. You're going to challenge the big bad federal government. Well, you know what? If it's a vote by the people, I got interviewed by the New York Times on a profile of Sheriff Joe the other day. And you can get what the benefits of that argument. It is designed to come out when the trial ends. He's in this trial with the ACLU. The trial ends and they want to have a profile on him. And this woman was saying, well, why does he, there's people are upset because he does this, and there's people upset because he does that, and this, all these different things. And I said, you know what they're really upset about? They're not upset with Sheriff Joe. What they're really upset with is the state of Arizona. All the sheriff is a symbol of the frustration in the state. Is really what it boils down to. And the thing that this is done, he wouldn't do if the state was the largest county in the state did not support him in that. And we'll find out in November where that goes. But I think it's probably pretty clear. He will stay as sheriff in Maricopa County. And I guess my point was, as I said, if you're upset with what the sheriff is doing, then why don't you fix the underlying problem, which is you're not securing our border? Because there's nothing for him to do along those lines if our border is secured. And she acted as though the thought had never even occurred to her. That such a thing was possible.
Was she from New York?
She was from Brazil.
Well, but she was from the East Coast.
No, she was from Brazil. She went from Brazil.
Maybe she worked for the New York Times.
At some point, maybe she
came here from the East Coast.
At some point. But she was very puzzled. And I told her, I said, well, I'm just telling you that if you did the polling on the people, well, there is a poll every November, every 4 years. There's a poll that's being done in Maricopa County, and if the poll was bad, you would lose.
You're not finding like
A gajillion votes. I'm going to It's a lot. And I said that all these people from outside of the state that are angry at what's going on in Arizona, what they should be angry with is the man in the White House. And other presidents, some of them were Republican, that allowed us to get to this point. Other questions? Yes, sir.
Do you see the Tea Party movement as a threat or an ally to the Republican Party?
I think that the Tea Party, in my opinion, is all the Tea Party is a popular uprising of citizens. It's certainly more Republicans than others, but it is a frustration that was born out of failure within the Republican Party, first and foremost. And I think that the Tea Party would not exist. Once again, it's a symbol. The Tea Party would not exist if we did not have the Duke Cunninghams and the a lot of crooks in our own party and a lot of the big spenders in our own party that voted us basically out of office in 2006 and 2008. And when Obama finally won the election in 2008, I think a lot of people just said, you know what, we've got to fight back. My fear is that that energy that we saw in 2010 has dissipated. At least that's what I thought. And then the healthcare ruling came out. And just on a very selfish point of view, that was our biggest fundraising day we've ever had. We raised $50,000 in one day because of the healthcare ruling. People are upset, they're angry. And I think for a while there, they were simply broken down. And I think right now you're starting to see a change in that. And so my feeling is that we need the energy that they brought to the table in 2010, and we need to win this election. That's honestly what I think. Yes?
Jonathan, before I left office, you came to Maricopa, spent about an hour windshield surveying the town and some of the challenges we have. Many I shared with you, but you also heard me talk about the Great Separation Project. You heard Mayor Price talking about the Great Separation Project. You know we go to Washington on a regular basis in order to go to bat on that project. If you're elected, will you be an ally and a supporter
Absolutely.
of those issues?
Absolutely, because I look at it as one thing about the district is that you're not going to get a lot of help from a lot of support from Congress as the last line of defense. If we can get Maricopa on its feet financially, with the economy rather, I think that we can actually, this can be one of the most important communities in the state. And has the potential for that. I think it's done the best it can under the economic circumstances that we have. I think they'll grow tremendously if we can have something like that go online and if we can make it happen. I really believe that.
And we do have some houses available here in Maricopa if you decide to move from Marana.
Well, here's the deal. I'm going to be, I talked to about this earlier, is that as some of you may know, I made two big decisions in February. The one decision was I decided to run for Congress. The more important decision was I got engaged. And my fiance lives in Tempe. She actually works for the AG's office as a prosecutor. So it'd be nice to her. And honestly, of all the communities in the district that's closest to her family and is easily accessible to any other area in the district, it's really Maricopa. It's the most centrally located place. And I just talked to a friend of mine. We were talking to a friend of mine who even Carol may know, Scott Kirtley, has served in the Army, and he was a Department of the Army civilian fighting a drug war in Honduras and in Colombia. I talked him into locating here in Maricopa. He's going to be one of your newest home buyers.
Awesome.
In fact, I've recommended this town too, Jonathan, when we talked to him first.
I think it's awesome. I think it's got, I mean, I'm not making any promises because I got to talk to Andrew about it. And I've learned not to make promises without consulting. I like it. So,
Thank you, Jonathan.
thank you very much.